talk Black New York City. I'm Afroista. I cannot wait to introduce you to Emann, the co-creator of Ori Inu, In Search of Self. Let's hear what he has to say.
This baptism will revoke any evil inside you. Trust me. As long as you serve this God, the only God, you'll be fine.
Jadoki told me that Yemaja be visiting you in your dreams frequently.
No, it was a long time ago. But you shouldn't force me to go to church. I'm 18 now.
But you're still a child. And I'll be damned if I allow you to bring that condomble shit into my house.
Mom, I'm just trying to find myself.
Thank you, Emann, for joining us here today. I have to say, I saw the trailer of this movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely breathtaking.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here as well.
So, but before we go into this film, I heard you were a rapper. Is that true?
Back in the day, I used to dabble in the rap. I mean, actually, it was my life. It was like, I was a rapper. Like, that was my life for a while. It was a past life, though.
Past life, so no
past
more.
Life. Not really. I mean, I love the music. I love the genre. I'm very much a fan of it. But it's not the main way I'm trying to express myself as an artist, as a creative anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, but I still have mad respect for
so
hip-hop.
You still got bars and things like that?
I mean...
So you might be able to kick like a little freestyle at the end, maybe?
I mean, everybody always asks. I will. For you, though, I will. For you, I definitely will. Totally, yeah.
Okay, so now that we know, everyone knows that you're a creative, a rapper, a lyricist.
Yeah.
Tell me, where are you from originally?
I'm from Newark, New Jersey. It's like not like we're in New York right now. I'm not from New York. I'm from the city that is pretty much right next to New York. I actually had a rap song called Jersey State of Mind, and it was about like how like Newark is kind of like in the shadow of the Big Apple. And so like I'm from the city that's like not New York City, but we still have a lot of influence, and we have like a very vibrant culture, especially in terms of like Pan-Africanism, activism, art in general. So I'm very proud to be from Newark.
So you're from Newark, but your cultural background.
So like, I first and foremost, I do consider myself mainly me growing up. I'm from Newark, but like my mom is from Guyana, in South America, and my dad is Nigerian.
Oh wow, yeah. That's a beautiful mix.
So it's kind of like I feel like I'm like almost a bridge, like between like I was born here, but my family, but I have like cultural influences from Nigeria, from South America, and kind of like me and my sister were like kind of the bridge between all these different like continents, honestly. So it's kind of cool, yeah.
I understand you completely. Like, I was born here, but my mom is West Indian, my father is Irish, but I was raised in a West Indian household.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't really know about American culture until I went to school.
Exactly.
So people were like, you don't know about James Brown? I'm like, James who? You know about Barris Hammond? You know? No?
Yeah.
Anyway, so when did you realize that you didn't want to rap anymore, you want to transition into a different phase of the arts?
When did I realize? I kind of, like, after I graduated from college, I kind of realized the real world hit, and I was like, I'm not making enough money as a rapper. I need to kind of diversify what I'm doing. And like, as a rapper, like, I think toward the end of my, like, kind of like what I was doing, like, I started really rapping in like almost like kind of socially conscious activist type of hip hop, and it was really all about the people. Like the people was like I actually had the album that I never released was called The People in Cast Fly. So I started trying to figure out ways to reach the people, and I did that through at one point becoming a community organizer in Newark, and also like just finding different, like really kind of delving into even like spirituality, and like finding ways to enlighten the people, because I felt that once the people were able to kind of realize their potential spiritually, also like physically, economically, then that's when we would be able to liberate ourselves. So that it's all kind of connected, even to like that process of me trying to speak to the people even led me to creating Ori Inu, In Search of Self, with my sister.
So yes, Ori Inu, In Search of Self. From what I've read, it's very much, like you said, a bridge of culture and identity. So please give us a little synopsis about this film.
Okay, so it's about an immigrant woman who is kind of torn between conforming to a kind of the norms of American society, or revisiting her roots in the Afro-Brazilian religion called Candomblé. And pretty much we kind of created the film because I kind of read an article in NPR that was about kind of how this religion is kind of persecuted to this day, very much in Brazil, and a lot of the the people in Brazil actually practice African spirituality, but even though that a high percentage of the population practices it, whether they're Afro-Brazilian or even non-Afro-Brazilians practice African spirituality in Brazil, but it's still very taboo within that society. And so we kind of wanted to come up with a film that kind of spoke to that, and also kind of spoke toward biases toward kind of the others, or like people who are not kind of like considered the norm within different cultures within society. So that's kind of what our film kind of aims to do.
Do you feel as if that's almost like a reflection of the type of music that you're putting out there? Things that are like plant seeds and awakens people to truth and reality?
I mean, yeah. I wouldn't necessarily categorize all my music as that, but I definitely think toward the end of what I was trying to as I matured as an artist, because I feel like even as an artist, even as a hip hop artist, I was in search of myself, in search of my sound, in search of what I was trying to kind of my message, and like that you don't immediately you don't just wake up and start doing something and you know exactly who you are 4 years later. So like toward the end of my career as a rapper, I wouldn't even say end because who knows, maybe I'll rap someday in the future. But
you will at the end of this.
Remember? Oh yeah, I will. Good point. But I started. Yeah, I agree totally.
Okay, so the film touches upon religion, African spirituality, and self-identity. How do you feel? What inspired you guys to start the production? Besides the article, so the article.
Okay, yeah. So my sister is kind of actually a crazy story that started off as a NYU senior thesis project, and not even like a graduate school. It's like an undergrad thesis project for a class, and pretty much my sister was looking for an idea that she was scared. This is actually kind of funny. She was scared that it was a class whereby it was one semester you kind of came up with your ideas, but then you got picked by the class to actually be able to make your film. So she was scared that she wouldn't have an idea that was good enough to I guess get kind of greenlit to go to the next semester of the advanced class to make the film. And I was like, oh well, I think we need to do something that kind of taps into what's going on right now in terms of this whole black godliness, this whole black spirituality wave that's kind of going on social media, and that people are kind of they're kind of looking for new ways to kind of envision themselves outside the confines of Christianity or stuff like that. So when we make something that kind of speaks toward that, and that's literally from there we did it, and from there kind of the idea I guess because it was kind of speaking toward the time, it just really it was a snowball, and it just got bigger and bigger, and we started we actually were able to book Tanya Pinkins, who she was in All My Children for a lot of years, and she was in Above the Rim with Tupac, and we at one point we were talking to Lisa Ray about being in the film. It was just crazy stuff happened out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying. And Trey Harris is in the film. She was in Newlyweds. She's kind of like a Brooklyn socialite in terms of I guess the Afrocentric scene of Brooklyn. And Les Nubians ended up being in the film. They're a Grammy nominated Afropean duo that a lot of people are big fans of. I actually found out about them through the film, but it was
really?
I didn't actually know. My sister reached out to them, but I didn't understand until after doing my research and being wow, they're legends. That's kind of crazy, And from there, just all these things just started kind of happening, and within the space of 6 months, our life was completely altered or changed. So
wow, that's
the
really
power of an
cool.
idea, I guess. I think that to me nowadays, talking about spirituality, I think the highest form of spirituality is being able to conceptualize an idea and then materialize it, and make it and to the point whereby you had an idea and now you're your reality is altered as a result of that. It's alchemy,
Right, it's your blessings are your actual proof that your prayers work.
Exactly.
So with blessings, there's always opposition. So were there any oppositions that you guys felt that you guys were like, well, maybe we shouldn't make this, or did you guys use the oppositions as ways to push forward?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, we got a lot of support. I think it's just like because of how like the film kind of spoke. I mean, we did get some opposition in terms of like, I think it was more familial opposition. Like I was raised in a Jehovah's Witness family, and like my like kind of very strict Jehovah's Witness family. We were by like, and I think that's kind of also what led us to make the film, is that we were looking at like to like define our spirituality outside the confines of that background that we grew up in, and so pretty much, like I guess like within our family, people are like, oh, why are you like dealing with African spirituality? Like you got to stay away from that kind of stuff. And so like the kind of the same stigmas that we were trying to break, or like kind of like break through, like in like for the society, was kind of the same stigmas we had to like deal with within our family. Like people being like, well, I don't know if I want to support that because I don't know if I support African spirituality, and we're like, what? So I think that was most of what we dealt with. Like, but that was more like familial and like people around us. But in terms of like the actual I guess like the community around us, people really supported it. I think people kind of like that, just the idea of being in search for self. I think it's something that people really related to, especially right now. Especially like, you know, when like Black Lives Matter, about people were getting shot and people were saying that like Black lives don't matter. We're like, okay, well we will define our own identity outside of a society that tells us that we don't matter. So I think that like that whole kind of like it's the whole environment of the U.S. was kind of like made people more conscious and more accepting of a film like ours.
So now that your film is complete, those people in your close knit circle, have they seen the film?
Yeah. I mean,
has it opened their eyes? Like, okay.
What I think also what we learned is that like when something does well, people like change their minds about things. They're like, initially they might be like, oh, I don't know about that. Like
now they're like, hey.
Now they're like, oh, we're so proud of you. But like meanwhile, like initially they were like, y'all shouldn't do that. I'm not gonna condone it. Like this is not. I'm not a supporter of this. But now like they're like our biggest supporters. So it's like. Okay.
Well, congratulations on your breakthrough on that. The fact that your family now can understand why you guys took on this challenge of creating this beautiful film. So in filming your film In Search of Self, you were able to truly find yourself and find a different career path that you never even thought even existed.
Precisely.
Wow, that's really inspirational. So I can only imagine those in our community and outside of the community watching this, what might open up for them. In filming, in watching this. So I know that the film is based in Brazil culture, but you guys filmed in Trinidad. Was there a reasoning behind that? Well,
Trinidad, I feel like in Brazil, culture they have completely different cultures, but like similar. There's like a carnival culture, like that kind of ties both of them together. Like the biggest carnival is in Brazil and in Trinidad. Like they're like, and so. But beside that, like the African spirituality is practiced on both islands. You know, it's more. I think people know about it more in Brazil, but in Trinidad, like even when my sister went in Trinidad to like location scouting, you know, she like it was actually kind of interesting. We were trying to figure out where we should shoot it in Trinidad, and I guess like my sister met some lady and she was like I guess like some kind of priestess, and she was like, you got to shoot it where the river meets the ocean, where like Oshun meets Yamaya, you know what I'm saying? And that's where we ended up shooting it in Grand Riviera in Toco, where the river met the ocean, and everything kind of, and like even at this spot we got like a location where it was a resort, and they like had like all the space, and like it just was the perfect spot, like, and so literally like I said, like the whole film was like kind of like in like a non-creepy way, a magical experience, you know what I'm saying? Like it was interesting, and like
meant to be.
I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean,
you know, when everything like you said, like it's a manifestation of your thoughts and desires. So you guys completely manifested the right settings for this film.
Exactly.
Well, Eman, it was such a pleasure.
Definitely.
Meeting you and talking to you. Want to kick a couple of bars?
Okay. Oh, wow. I mean, next time. I know I said it, but next time. We'll do it next time, for sure, yeah. Yeah, next time.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah, totally. My name is Eman Odufu from Ori Inu Film. Thank you so much for watching Talk Black News.